Assalamu alaikum. Welcome to Salam Media. I'm your host for this evening, Dakir Dawood. It is Friday night sports, and well, we've got a jam-packed show for you. We're going to be chatting to a host of guests. We're going to be sharing some inspirational stories about young gentlemen from South Africa making it international, and also we're going to be keeping it real back in Mzansi with one of our favorites, Mac Masina. He is a former sevens player for the Springboks, and he's also a well known and let's say world renowned commentator and rugby analyst. He's going to be giving us his thoughts on what we can expect in the Springboks match when they do take on England tomorrow afternoon. This will be a rematch of the Rugby World Cup final in which South Africa came out victorious and lifted the Webb Ellis Trophy. Tomorrow, Eddie Jones will have a trick up his sleeve with Rassie Erasmus obviously being suspended from this match. So this will make it quite interesting to see whether South Africa's water boy or director of rugby will be that factor that determines victory or defeat for the men in green and gold. Well, it's going to be a jam-packed evening. And, before we get started with everything, I'd like to say thank you to all our listeners and our viewers on Salam Media, as well as Salam Media themselves. Um, I've recently been nominated, or let's say I was a finalist at the Gauteng Sports Awards for the Sports Journalist of the Year. And this is such an amazing achievement in its own. I mean, for a station like Salam Media to give me the platform and come in and week out to deliver quality content for everybody on this platform. It just shows that our hard work does not go unseen for the guys behind the scenes as well. Salilo, Sadiq, Ponti, Shamshir, the list goes on. I mean, it's been a phenomenal journey, and here we are. We didn't get to lift the title, but I mean, to be recognized as one of the top three journalists in Gauteng and having this show putting me on that platform, it just shows that doesn't matter what platform you're on. If you deliver quality content, there's always going to be people that will come and follow you. But for now, that's enough about me, about the guys behind the scenes, about the show. We're going to give you what you came to the show for. We're going to be chatting first up to Mac Masina, who's going to be telling us everything that we can expect in the Springboks match when they do take on England tomorrow. I do believe that he is on the line. He doesn't want to join us face to face. So, Mac, you're just going to have to share your thoughts with us this evening. We're waiting.
No, I can actually join you face to face, but I think where I'm at, I understand the network could be very bad. I'll rather just have an opportunity to have a proper chat with you guys and keep on breaking. Still got load shedding.
Well, I mean, you've got a face for radio, so it doesn't make any sense having you on video. Mac, let's jump straight into this. Rassie Erasmus suspended for 2 months for the comments he made about the referees in the British and Irish Lions tour, the video that he made. What's your thoughts on this whole process? I mean, you know what? Let's take the coaching aspect out of it because you are a coach. You are also a well esteemed rugby administrator. Mac, from a rugby administrator's point of view, do you stand with
No, look,
Rassie Erasmus on this case or do you distance yourself?
no, I mean, honestly, if you're looking at this Rassie Erasmus situation, just starting from what had happened in that game against British and Lions, to the Box really just losing that game narrowly because of just some very dubious decision that had to take place then from Rassie Erasmus really crying foul and trying just to get hold of the ref, and the ref never really just gave him an opportunity to ask those questions. And then, of course, with the video that came in, that really just blew the world. Anyone else who will really understand rugby, it's the first time ever, something like that has been done. But I mean, if you're looking at the video, you analyze that it really just communicated to almost everyone. It was exactly what Rassi said, in terms of the treatment and the call and all that stuff. But then again, you all know that in all these big organizations, once you start being a little bit vocal, they'll try and see if they can shut you up. Hence, Rassi Erasmus at this stage was really just suspended. And imagine 2 months suspension, and then you can't really just go back. I mean, they spoke about September as well, suspended sentence of September. So you can imagine, they're basically just trying to prove the point as well that they are more powerful than anyone else. But then again, however, my biggest worry is that they're probably just doing that, but they're not really sorting out their issues right in the inside, making sure that their refs are on form and they're not really, they didn't even really just, um, um, I should say, punish that ref. I mean, I never
Mm.
really heard anything else that he was suspended maybe for 6 months or so. I mean, currently he's actually back refing this ref. That should really just give you an idea exactly how bad this thing was really being handled. I mean, they always, the World Rugby, stated that, they listened to Barry's, the aftermath, how he felt and all that stuff, but never really, spoken to Sia and put his case on the table and say, okay, fine, how did it made you feel? So it's definitely one-sided, and they really definitely just targeting Rassi. And then it's a very coincidence because I mean they could have actually let it go and just probably just come up with this decision maybe next week. So that could be another ploy of not really allowing Rassie Erasmus to finish off the season, in a high as the Springbok team, director of rugby, making sure that they beating the likes of England. So that's lots that still needs to be fixed really when we look about when we just sit back and look uh, in terms of all rugby, especially in the world of rugby.
No, Mac, definitely I agree with you. And going forward, World Rugby's had so much time to make this decision. However, a day before, which is arguably one of the biggest tests of 2021, South Africa do take on England. I mean, this is the match that everybody's been waiting for. Why do you think World Rugby's waited until this moment to announce that Rassie Erasmus is suspended?
Yeah, look, if you look at the history, I mean, going all the way 10 years, 15 years back, even 20 years back, even more than that, um, the RIB then, now it's World of Rugby, they've never been in, term, in favor of, the South African from long time ago. I mean, there's history of our players being penalized more. There's history of our players being getting more red or yellow cards. If you look at the players in New Zealand, if they'll do exactly the same, even from Australia, they don't really get that. So that should really just give you an idea of what has been really happening. Just the main fact that if you understand that who was the panel of the disciplinary committee that is in that came up with this decision, that should really just give you an idea exactly um, where is all this thing going or where we've been and just all that stuff. I mean, there were times where they did actually try just to change the laws purely because South African teams maybe they were more powerful in a certain so-called aspect of the game. I'll just give you an example. Probably just driving. The more driving, they'll try and manipulate the law so that the power or the strength of the South African team, must not be that effective in such. I mean, they've done that, in the past and all that stuff. But just by me saying that, there's no point of really just complaining about that. We've moved on in rugby, and then we understand, what do we need to do. Hence, if you look at the likes of the Springbok at this stage, they've performed very well, to such an extent that they've got only one more game to play so that they can have a clean sweep in Europe. So that I really believe that it's a very good thing, and then it is great, just to be in that position, making sure that there's only one more game to go, which is tomorrow.
No, definitely. It's going to be quite an interesting one because, I mean, we do know that Australia got the better of South Africa this year. However, England last week got the better of Australia 32-15. And I mean, that was a massive achievement for the English as a whole. And do you think that they take any confidence from that going into the Springbok game and knowing that the Springboks couldn't overcome the Aussies this season?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, any team, especially when they're playing at home. Remember, the last time the Box played against England, it was in 2019, and the final, obviously, and one is in Japan. But this time they're playing in Chickenham in England, and of course, just coming away as well with quite a few wins just leading into this game. So we definitely going to be very confident in all that stuff. And of course, one thing that now they really know and they understand, they know what's coming to them. The England team, especially when we talk about the fourth, they know that if they're not going to be up to scratch when it comes to scrummaging, definitely they're going to be under so much pressure. And we've seen what happened to the Box. I mean, this is the Box team that, especially the that have done very well against New Zealand. They've done against very well as well against Australia. They've beaten Wales. They've beaten Scotland, and now it's just one more game to go in all that stuff. So they know exactly what's coming. And there's no brainer. I don't think that it's going to be anything that will be extraordinary from the box. I don't see the box really changing the way they play. It's all about the England team that needs to make sure that they counter that. First of all, they'll need to make sure that they scrum well. If they don't, then they're going to be in trouble, because that's where the penalties will really come. But I tell you what, looking at the Springbok team, especially the way they scrum, which is bringing those subs, type 5 that comes in and just finish off their job, with the likes of Malcolm Marx, and of course it's so great just to see that. And even now on lineouts, it's been very great as well. So they know what's coming. With Luat Yaga, he's back now at 5. So it's a very, very good forward. I don't even want to talk about Sia, because honestly, he's been having his probably best, season in the Green.
Mac, I think I just want to come in there and let's actually just chat about Sia. He's had such a phenomenal season this year, and he was also mentioned in the hearing, and obviously what World Rugby had to say. Their opinion was that Sia did not get an opportunity to talk in the press conference, as well as Mzwandile Stick. But anyway, back to Sia Kolisi. A player of his magnitude, making the swap from Western Province to the Sharks. Didn't play much rugby in the Sharks jersey, but the moment he puts on that green jumper, his leadership, how do you think this has rubbed off and keeping this team together for this entire duration and getting quality performances out of them week in and week out, even when the chips were against the Springboks?
I must say, for Sia to move from province to Durban, I think it was a probably brilliant. I think that he has done for himself, and then of course that really just gave him another life. And I remember as well, he had quite a few injuries, so they really just looked after him there, making sure that his injuries, are just 110%. And of course, once the Springbok, team was announced, he was there training with the team. He never really just started at first, but they really put him into a very good program and all that stuff. So basically, I must say, the management of the Springbok management, they're managing Sia Kolisi to just give him, a stepping stone again to be probably one of the best number 6 that we've ever had at this stage, for like years. I think it's great as well. He's grown in stage. His leadership is just extraordinary at this stage. And we all know what he can do as a leadership player. But then again, we know what he can do as well. He put on such craft, and not too many people really see the dirty work that he has done. There's a game where he really just made a very important tackle just close to the try line. I think if that try was scored, it could have been a total different story. If I'm not mistaken, I think
it was last weekend. Yes, it was against Wales. Sorry, not Scotland. It was against Wales.
I think he's matured now as a player, and so those are the things that the English team will probably have to face, definitely. But I don't think that they're going to be lying down there, because they've got really a big score just to settle. They know, that they're still burning inside with that World Cup that took place 2 years ago, obviously. But looking at the Springbok team, I'm sure the Boks have moved on. Just winning against England and winning the British Lions, because quite a few players that have played there, they're still there. The Courtney Laws of this world, who will be the captain.
That's going to be quite an interesting battle there, Mac. Courtney Laws was rated in the Northern Hemisphere as the best number 6 against Sia Kolisi. That's going to be an interesting battle. But just looking at the matchups, Mac, the South African scrum is really one of our strong points. And for Coach Eddie Jones to go with such a young front 3, do you think the mind games has started? Because it's not every day you're going to have a Will Stewart, Joe Marler, and Nick Daly on the bench for the English team.
Yeah, look, the mind games, that started a long time ago. But, if you're looking at the type 5, Oxen J is probably one of the best loose forward we have in the world at this stage. Bongi Bonandi, he hasn't really just put that foot on. Look at Trevor Nyakane as well. Playing one of his best runs against the Sinclairs of this world from England and all that stuff, which they've scrum against each other and they've been defeated before, not once, twice, in the British Lions, and of course with the England team that lost. So the confidence from the Boks should be higher than the English team. So the team that is actually under pressure here, it's not the Boks team. It's the England team that needs to come out very early off the blocks to make sure that they score tries and then just win the game. Just losing Farrell as well, I think it was a very big blow for the English team. Just going all the way, just being, his ankle was not correct, so you'll be off for maybe another 6 or 8 weeks. That's a big blow there where they've lost, in terms of him operating at 10 or at center. But then the man that needs to be the box needs to be very careful of is Tuilagi. He's back in action. He hasn't played against the box for such a long time. He's a troublemaker. Big, burly center who will really just create a havoc right in the middle of the park. But I mean, with the likes of Demon and again Allende and of course Lucanio Arm, one of the best combination of two centers in this world at this stage, will be there. We'll definitely be looking after him. So this would be a very great game just to watch. The pity, this was spoiled by Rassie Erasmus being really being suspended. But I mean, irregardless of what, I don't think that there will be any changes in terms of how they play. One thing that can really make things different is that the South African team really playing hard for Rassie Erasmus to prove the points to the world that, the South African team, they're always staying together and all that stuff. That could be maybe points actually for the South African team if they can take this and motivate themselves with it.
No, definitely. It's also interesting to see the likes of Manu Tuilagi back at inside center. He has spent some time on the wing this season, but it looks like Coach Eddie Jones has gone for stability and gone to what he knows best and having Tuilagi at center, hopefully looking to neutralize the likes of Damien De Allen and Lucanio Am, which is going to be a very interesting battle indeed in the centers. I mean, Elton Jantjies last week overtook Nas Botha into the top 5 all-time Springbok point scorers. Keeping in mind that Elton has come on in stints, he hasn't had much game time in a Springbok jersey. Would you have liked to see more of him against the English and how he can bring a different aspect of the Springbok style of rugby to this match?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, Elton hasn't really just put his foot wrong. Honestly, he's been very steady for the box. Not really just setting everything alight, but he's been performing well. But you can tell as well when he started against Scotland that he hasn't had too many game times, but he's tried his best. He's given an opportunity to give him more game time. He'll be better than what he is now. That's my personal opinion. However, you'll probably just get a chance next week, tomorrow, especially if it's going to be dry. I think, that's going to be the game that you will really just like, especially maybe at the later stage and all that stuff. But it will be key as well for the Boxers to defend very well. England will try some few things, definitely. There's no two way about it. They'll try and beat us in our game, or, they'll probably just look at our weak points and say, okay, fine, these guys, we can really just try and if you can just spread the ball wide and try and hit them on the wider channel and all that stuff because of the way we defend, because our defense is very, very strong when, it's the ruck and the guys are just pressing up as quick as possible, especially when we talk about the channel, in the channel 1, 2, and 3, it's not going to be very easy just to beat the box, Yes, they can get an opportunity wide, perhaps maybe in the channel 4, just closer to the touchline. But in terms of the close range, man to man, pound for pound, it's going to be very difficult, for the England team just to break us. However, maybe, there could be a little bit of some kicking as well that we'll probably see a lot from the England team, to try and see if they can test us on the air. They'll probably just try and see if they can target Jesse Krell. Well, he's not a natural wing, and he's average when it comes to the high ball. And then, of course, a player that could be targeted as well is Billy Leroux, because at times Billy Leroux, he can be disappointing. So I think those are probably, the areas that they'll try and see if they can target. When it comes to the scrum line-out, and especially on the ruck as well, I see the South African team really doing very well because he has been awesome there. Kwagga Smith, which I really thought that is going to Glenn van Mullen, still gets better each and every time. It's just maturing very well like wine. So it's going to be very tough for the English team to win the game. Just me saying that, I think it's not going to be a very easy team for the Springbok team just to win. They'll have to work hard for it.
No, definitely. And I mean, if we could put your head on a block real quick, Mac, looking at this game, the score predictions have always been tight between both teams. Looking at the scorelines, 32-12 the last time the Springboks did meet the English, which was 2 years ago. 12-11, 25-10 this time in favor of the English, which was in 2018. Mac, what is your prediction for tomorrow's game? Your final scoreline prediction.
Look, I can say the Box they'll probably just win by eight. So they'll probably win between by eight or between 8 and 10. I don't see this game. I don't see them just running away with it a lot. So I should say, just looking at this game, I'm just guessing now. The Box maybe could be 26. And maybe just will be there around about probably just 15, 18, somewhere there, or 15.
Do you see those 15 or 18 points coming off the boot, or do you see tries being scored against the Springbok team?
No, tries will be there, definitely, from the Springbok team. Either they'll probably just come with the drive. If it's not going to be the drive, there will be those outside backs that we know that they can do the damage. Scoring tries in the likes of Mbimbi. Once they touch the ball, it's just magic. So I'm expecting the backs to score a try. Even the forwards as well. If the guys are getting just setting up very quickly when the Box are driving, you should really see the score. Probably just 2 to 3 tries is on that game from the Box.
You've been such a rugby head here. You've answered my questions, but you've avoided. So 25-18, you go in with as your final score. Are we correct?
Yeah, let's take it there.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, there you've got it from Mac Masina, the rugby legend, commentator, and analyst, giving us his final scoreline on the Springboks game that will be taking place tomorrow. Kickoff for that match will be in the afternoon. We do know that there is wet conditions predicted. Kickoff will be at 5:15, and it's going to be plenty of clouds throughout the day with a chance of isolated spots of rain. Definitely going to be a game to look out for. I'm definitely going to be watching that one. Mac Masina, thank you so much for your time this evening. We appreciate your in-depth analysis and obviously getting it always to the point. We appreciate you. We appreciate your time, and we definitely look forward to listening to you very, very soon on our radios and television sets.
Thanks, Bob.
Always a pleasure. Always a pleasure. That was Mac Masina giving us the breakdown of what's going down tomorrow, or what will be going down tomorrow afternoon in England when the Springboks do take on the English. That game will be kicking off at 5:15. It's going to be a tough encounter. Very, very, very tough. I mean, we do know that the Springboks are the current world champions, and they've been having such a successful tour thus far in Europe. And tomorrow they'll top it off. Hopefully, inshallah, they'll top it off tomorrow with a victory over the English to get a clean slate and come back home with all the victories in the bag. But that's it from the rugby side of things. We do know that it's been quite an interesting week in the world of football. Bafana have been knocked out of the World Cup qualifiers. They did go down 1-0 against Ghana last week, Sunday. A very controversial match in terms of referee decisions and penalties. Or let's say a penalty that single-handedly broke the hearts of South Africa. Not just the nation, but the 11 men on the pitch as well that done duty for their nation. Well, next up, we're going to be chatting to Farouk Khan, a football legend in South Africa. He's going to be giving us his breakdown on what exactly transpired and how does South Africa bounce back from this. We do know SAFA has appealed the case, and where to from here for South Africa. Do you want to know all about it? Stay tuned to Salam Media. We're going to take a quick break, and when we come back, we're going to be chatting all things football.